This is Good e-Reader News with Michael Kozlowski. The European Court of Justice has just concluded that EU member states are free to charge differing rates of VAT on both ebooks and digital VAT books and not break fiscal neutrality, which is an EU concept whereby markets for the same goods are distorted by varying tax rates. What this really means is that in the past, if you wanted to change the VAT price for both physical books and ebooks, it was a convoluted process. When Luxembourg lowered the VAT on ebooks from 15% to 3%, a lot of EU member states were all up in arms because, say, for the UK, for example, they charge 20% on any digital book purchase. And so when Luxembourg lowered it to 3%, it attracted the who's who of the digital book industry. Amazon, Google, Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, they all based their European operations in Luxembourg because they offer 3% VAT. So being based in Luxembourg and having your servers there allowed them to sell books all over Europe at a 3% VAT. So let's say, for example, you, the viewers, had a small bookstore in the UK and you were selling ebooks. Because you're based there, you actually have to charge an additional 20% VAT, which is the tax, on each book sold. Whereas if a customer living in the UK bought it from Amazon, they only were charged 3%. So it was sort of anti-competitive, and a lot of EU member states were petitioning the European Court to say, listen, how could you really do this? People should be able to pay VAT in the country that they live in. And so the EU court basically said, listen, you're free to change the VAT on ebooks and books as you see fit without having to go through a huge process to do it. Now, starting in 2015, the EU effect on ebooks is coming into place. What this really means is that depending on where you live, that's the VAT you're going to pay. So no longer can ebook companies get away with being based in Luxembourg and charging 3% VAT in every EU member state. Now, if you live in France, you have to pay the going rate in France. If you live in the UK, you're going to have to pay the 20% extra VAT on ebooks. And this way, it'll level the playing field so smaller online retailers will be able to compete against the juggernaut that is Amazon, or to a lesser degree, Barnes & Noble and Kobo. How long will it take for VAT prices on ebooks to fall? Well, now that the barriers for the EU Court of Justice are removed pretty well, it's up to the government themselves to lower the tax rate on ebooks. And now it's easier than it's ever been before. For Good e-Reader News, my name is Michael.